All right, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Just wanted to give you an update on Mikey Garcia against Errol Spence. This is a fight that everyone seems to. We still have some time until the fight happens, but it seems like everyone is talking about it as if it's this week or next week. Mikey put up a picture, or someone from his camp or team or whatever put up a picture comparing it to a kangaroo where he's looking buff and everything now. I thought the picture was funny because I actually follow that account on Instagram, the guy that posts the kangaroo sanctuary or whatever. So I thought it was funny. There are similarities there because of his physique and everything. Doesn't have big, broad shoulders. So for him to bulk up, arms are bigger, yeah, chest and everything. But he still has very small shoulders. You could still tell that he's not really a welterweight. All right. The only thing with that, all jokes aside, I just hope that he's able to maintain his speed. They have plenty of time before the fight. Hope he's not bulking up and becoming much slower. Hopefully he's able to be adjusted to that weight by the time the fight comes, okay? Where he's not losing too much, because that's one thing you want to have over a guy that's bigger than you, has more power than you. You want to have that speed advantage, or at least match him in speed. A lot of people think you're more technically sound than Errol. A lot of people think you're more skillful and overall more talented than Errol Spence. I think you are more talented. I think he is more skillful, but I don't think it's that wide. It's not as wide as people are making it seem. And I also believe that Errol's weight, size, power is the neutralizer between these two fighters, okay? I do think Mikey is a little, more technically sound and everything, but how much better is he? Okay. Plus, Mikey has not fought anyone as skillful as Errol Spence. Plus, he's bigger. Than you. Plus, Errol is bigger than you. That's just my opinion, though. Mikey has fought some skilled fighters and everything, but this is definitely by far the most dangerous opponent, for Mikey at this point. I think Errol, pound for pound, is still better than the guys that Mikey has fought, pound for pound. If they weren't fighting in the same weight class, I think maybe you can make an argument at maybe one or two fighters, or maybe, but it's debatable. But I think this is by far his toughest challenge, and this is the point of the fight. Mikey wants to challenge himself. He was calling out Keith Thurman first, last year or maybe a couple years now. We're in the new year, so it might be a couple years ago. He was calling out Keith Thurman first. Everybody thought it was a joke. And then now he's calling out Errol Spence, who a lot of people feel is the boogeyman at 147. He's definitely the boogeyman on the PBC side of the street. All right, so my major concern here is, there goes those sirens again. Every single video never fails. My biggest concern for this fight was if Mikey is to get stopped, all right, and get knocked out at some point in this fight. I just hope the damage is not serious to a point where he's going to be changed as a fighter for the rest of his career. I don't want to see that. That's what I don't want to see. Because you are fighting a guy that is much bigger than you, and a guy that is used to stopping welterweights. Okay? Good welterweights. So I just hope, if he is going to lose this fight, and if he is going to get stopped in this fight, I hope it just doesn't change him forever. People are saying that now about Kell Brook. People saying that going into the Errol Spence fight. People are still saying that in my comments, that Kell Brook wasn't the same because of what happened in the Triple G fight. People are still saying that. I personally believe Miguel Cotto has never been the same since the Antonio Margarito the first fight. He's never been the same. No matter how good, and he collected some big wins over the years since that fight. He was even able to avenge that loss against Antonio Margarito. I just don't believe he's ever been the same fighter since that first loss. And I think he would have had a better career if it wasn't for that fight. I just believe that. So being that Mikey is undefeated, and there's still so many opportunities for him. There's still fights that I want to see down at 135. I wanted to see what he could do at 140 if he is to conquer 135. If he is to conquer and beat Lomachenko, which is the fight that I wanted to see before he moved up and challenged himself. I wanted to see that fight. And I also believe that there's talent at 140 that was totally overlooked. I know he beat Lipinets at 140. All right. But he didn't beat Josh Taylor at 140. All right. He didn't beat Rougarou at 140. So those are fights that I was talking about back when he fought Lipinets that I wanted to see. Now he's skipping all of those guys and going straight for Errol. And if he feels that that's the route he's going to take, if he wants to prove in one fight, that's fine. That's cool. That's on him. But it's very dangerous. It's beyond dangerous. But he says he sees weaknesses there, and we'll see. Tim Bradley also came out and said that he sees those same weaknesses. I mean, listen, Errol has flaws. He does. Who will be able to exploit them is the question. I think Terrence can exploit some of those weaknesses for sure. I think Terrence, as good as I think Mikey is, I think Terrence is a level above him. I think Terrence Crawford, skill-wise, is a level above Mikey. And there's not many people that I can say that about that's boxing right now that's active. Mikey is definitely a pound-for-pound fighter in my eyes. But Terrence is just on another level, in my opinion. Terrence is bigger, and he belongs at welterweight. One last thing. Errol. I hope Errol is not going into this fight thinking that because he's fighting a smaller guy, that he is just going to rush him and take him out because he's a smaller fighter. I don't believe he's going to go into the fight thinking like that, because so far in his career, he's been pretty consistent. His biggest fights, which was against Kell Brook and against Lamar Peterson, all right, two of his better performances, in my opinion, he worked his way to get those stoppages. He didn't rush in there. We seen recently Jamel Charlo lose to Tony Harrison, trying to get a knockout with one big shot. Fell in love with his power, clearly. Didn't always have it. He's been falling in love with his power. And I hope we don't get that. I don't think we will. Same thing with Wilder. Wilder was fighting the same way he normally does, but he didn't make any adjustments against Tyson Fury in that fight, and that's why most people think he lost the fight. All right? He didn't have a plan B. I'm going to land this right hand at some point, and that was the game plan in his mind during the fight. Learn from those two. Work for the knockout. Win rounds. I know I addressed Errol and him rushing Mikey. That was more like if Mikey is really strictly, clearly outboxing Errol, I know Errol at some point will change it up and press Mikey hard. He will. But let's not jump out the gate doing that. Let's box with Mikey. All right? Let's box with Mikey and try to win rounds. And hurt him at times. Go for the hurt at, go for the bigger punches at times. But work your way to it. I think Errol is very responsible in the ring. So I'm not expecting anything less. I think Errol understands the importance of this fight. I think he has much more to lose by losing. If he is to lose this fight, I think he has much more to lose than Mikey Garcia. If Errol even makes this fight a debatable fight, and if it does go to the judges, I believe that if the fight is close, they're definitely going to give it to Errol. because people are going to respect Mikey if it does go to the judges, and if it is a close fight, a debatable one at that. I believe that people are going to respect Mikey for regardless. Even if Mikey is to get stopped and lose, it won't be an embarrassing loss. You know, I just believe that Errol is a lot more on him. I don't think it's a loss for him. I don't think it's a lose-lose, a complete lose-lose, because Mikey does have a following. He does have a name. And a lot of people are going into this fight. The expectations of him are so high by beating Mikey. Higher than it was against Brook. Higher than was against Lamont Peterson. The hype behind this fight is much bigger than those two fights. You know, I can't speak for the UK, but I'm speaking here in America. It's definitely bigger than the Kell Brook fight. All right. I wanted to make one more point. Yeah, I just wanted to make the point, speaking about Errol and rushing and working his way into winning the fight. I just hope he doesn't come in the same approach that Triple G did against Kell Brook. Triple G struggled a little bit in those earlier rounds because he was clearly trying to get Kell Brook out of there as quickly as possible. And it didn't work out so well in some of those rounds. I mean, yeah, Kell Brook got tired. You know, he was damaged. So, yes, he did get the stoppage in the 5th round. It's just that Triple G took a lot of damage to get that stoppage. And Errol doesn't need to take that same approach. Just going back based on him and his game plan. So, that's my thoughts for now. You know, I probably won't make another video about it unless something comes up that's big deal, that's big news. You know, and I really don't have much else to say until the weigh-in comes up. But I do think Mikey has a chance of winning. I don't think he's going to win. I think Errol and his size and his power is the neutralizer, like I said. And I think it just will be too much for Mikey. I don't know if Mikey will have the power, and I'm not disrespecting his power. It's just that I don't know if it's going to be enough for a guy like Errol. But I do think Mikey can win some rounds and will win some rounds early on, especially. But what Mikey also has to understand that he's fighting a guy that is a tougher fight than these other guys that he's been facing. Mikey did struggle a little bit against Limpinets, okay? Limpinets is nowhere near on the level of Errol Spence. He's not. He's not. And he doesn't even have the experience neither, because Limpinets wasn't always a boxer, okay? I believe he was a kickboxer before, not too long before he started boxing, all right? So anyway, that's my current thoughts on the fight. You can still check out the other fight, the other video that I did, where I broke more of the fight down. But that's my current thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, and make sure you guys hit subscribe. Peace.